Welcome to the lighting feedback for today. We have a great round of lighting submissions, so let's get started. Let's start right here with The Snow Cabin by Sylvain. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. I'm notorious for that, so and feel free to correct me in the chat later. But anyway, I saw your comment that you were kind of like your lighting is done here and you're compositing. And I think that's great. And let's look side by side since it's my first time looking at this between your finished and your reference. So I think it is, yeah, like at a pretty solid point. The one thing that I will say that it's not a big game changer here, but just lighting wise, from your reference to your actual shot, the shadows here are feeling lighter than the shadows here in your reference. If that was intentional, since I have not, seen what the feedback was on this shot previously, then completely ignore that. But there might be room, especially I will say in this foreground area, to go a little bit darker on the shadow, maybe like a nice grad on the shadow. So it gives it a little bit more shaping and depth within the shadows because it's a little bit flat here. So that is something to think about if you want to kind of revisit. This is actually could be a comp thing as well. Another thing that we'll start talking about is like what really stands out here is this dark area, the shadowing here. It's pretty black. And I would watch out for that. It needs a little bit of this cool kind of fill. And if you look at your reference, you never see anything going that dark. So that is another thing that I definitely keep in mind. And room for improvement on that. One other thing I will say, I was going to say that these right here in the foreground, they're feeling really dark and contrasty. The branches, it's almost like they're not getting the light hit. So I'd look into that if you want that to be so dark and black. I feel like it should have a little bit more of either a little bit more greenery to it. It doesn't have to be like bright green, but to get that value in color, I look at that. So those are those notes on kind of like the lighting side. And as compositing goes, I love compositing. It's so powerful. The biggest thing I noticed when I was looking at your reference here is everything, these shots are super diffused. And when I say diffused, it's like you see that like nice kind of glow. It's like almost like other people might call it like a Vaseline type effect. It's like this really soft feel to it, and that attributes to like there's no dark like really dark shadow stuff, but there's like a glow. There's like a magical glow to everything, especially within the whites and the snows. You see it here, so that is what you can really focus on when you're talking about the comp here. So if I were to go to, I actually did a quick comp myself, and I say really quick, it took me 2 minutes, but I put kind of like a diffuse on it. So you see that difference, and that's purely comp. And it's essentially just like putting a blurred, if you're using Nuke, there's actually like a diffusion type glow formula that you could use. But really, essentially, you can use anything. I did mine in Photoshop. I had a layer that, I blurred, and then I comped it back on top as, I forget now if it was light in a screen, but then also adjusted the opacity, so it's just a subtle thing. And it gives you this nice diffuse feeling, and also if you see it, like, softens up these shadows here that I was just already talking about. So if I put this side by side with your original, I mean, this is purely a comp thing, but you can already see that it's closer to your reference. Like if I put down the diffused version, next to the reference, it's already feeling more like these shots over here, right? So that's the key thing. I think just doing that will really like bring this much closer. But I do also think look into those notes I said previously. Look at the shadow levels here. It'd be great to kind of get that depth here, especially in the foreground. Like this could afford it as well. Yeah. But overall, I think it's great. I can't wait to see the updates on this one. So great job. Next, let's go to Carolina, who submitted this attic shot, which I love this scene. It's one of my favorite scenes that the students work on. And let's look at next to your reference. So I love the play of the warm and cool colors here and in your reference. And you're definitely achieving that. You're doing a great job of, balancing the warm from the door, getting the cool from the sky, from the outside windows. A couple things I'll say to bring it, even further than this iteration is, I think, like, one of the things I noticed in your reference, which I think is so lovely, is look how it's so subtle, like, how it blends from warm to cool, and that's nice kind of natural gradient, and there's no, like, sharp edges, where in contrast, if I look at yours right now, I'm seeing like very distinct lines, like outlines. There's no feathering on this, and it's also very intense, right? The light that's coming through, super strong, and it also doesn't leave much for fall off. There's a little bit of fall off, but it's just so strong that I'm not feeling that fall off as much as like here. It's like nice and subtle, and it does fall off into the cool. So one of the things to kind of help bring it to the next level, I thought, for yours was, what if we were to, one, creep this door open just slightly, a little bit more, and then play with this kind of blending between the warm and the cool light, but then also super softening, so you get this nice softness between the shadow areas and the light. I think that would be really nice to, bring it to the next level. I would tone down this warm color especially, and I'd look at the saturation. I think the saturation is close, but I think this one might be overly saturated a touch, so check the saturation levels when you bring it down, and definitely work on that like nice kind of grad tone here. So with that, I think, and then here, I think the window is pretty good. It's pretty successful. One thing I'll say is that right from here, so let's say this gets more feathered, more kind of like a nice grad between, then as it gets to the foreground, this should actually, on the floor, there should be also a nice grad that kind of goes into shadow, more into shadow, because if you look at it here, this is the same tone, probably as like, around like this tone to this tone is the same, right? There should be a fall off there because we're going more into darkness. I really like how the forefront objects do get this kind of nice subtle cool rim going on, so definitely keep that. But yeah, let's start there. I think it's off to a really good start. Very, it's super aligned with the reference. I think just the tweaks that we started here will help bring it to the next level and help see it a little bit differently as well. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Great job again. Can't wait to see the updates. Next, let's go to Samuel. Again, great updates. Let's look at the original from the last one and then this one. So to recap, yeah, I think one, the eye here, huge. Like this huge impact and change. What do you think? I mean, can you see it? like compared to there where there's like kind of no life in the eye in this one. And I love the addition of that kind of ding light coming from this light here. And you did a great job of kind of pooling the pockets as well and kind of creating that dark area here. So awesome job. I think a couple of things. When I look at this new version, we'll just isolate that one. You make sure I'm looking, yep, that's a newer version. And just looking here, okay. So the newer version, I really like it, but then my eye goes to and now is distracted by the brightest spots in this frame. And where's the brightest spots in this frame? I'm seeing it kind of like right here. Like this feels really bright to me. And he's bright, but like I think it's the warmth, but these are distracting me. So bring it down. Let's bring this down, this intensity here, and then let's make the fall off also like more, well, when the intensity goes down, it won't feel so intense, right? So the fall off will naturally kind of blend a little bit better, but let's blend it like that so it's not just like straight like that. It feels more natural. Same thing here. Let's bring this down and have a nicer fall off here. And then also it'd be nice if we can get some, because this is all one tone right here, if we can get a little bit of fall off into more of a darkness here. I think that'd be great. So that's for the background. And the other thing I'll say is himself, now that we're kind of got a good base covered, let's go back to him and the bright areas with him. And now I'm seeing like this ear right here, the way it's getting hit with this light. One, it's super bright, but then it's also a little distracting, to be honest with you, because it's like, I wonder if the model's off or that's how it's modeled, but it's like, you see, like, it's like catching the light in it in a kind of interesting way, but in a distracting way. So one, I reduce this, and then also figure out what's causing these like sharp lines here. And we want it definitely not to do that. We want kind of a nice soft light transition here. Same thing here. We're getting too much brightness right here on the tip. My eyes are going here. So where do we want the eye to go? I think we want the eye to go here. So with that in mind, let's bring this down. Let's bring this down. And one thing I'm curious to play about, can we get like, because I think the levels on him is good. I don't want to pump up that light anymore. So I think what it needs is almost like a speck highlight here to kind of define that more and bring my eye to him. Kind of similar to like what you're getting here, but in the face and like here, these little. So I would try that. And I would almost wonder, honestly, let me look at the reference again, if his light is too warm. I mean, it's nice that it's warm, but it might be getting even a little bit too warm. So I'd see about reducing that. But that's the key thing here. Let's get this highlight here to really exaggerate that cheekbone and get our eye there. But yeah, this eye is awesome, and everything's looking really good. So can't wait to see the updates. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Next up, we have Erika. So again, we have an attic, and this is what I love, how you can have the same scene, but in like lighted and different compositions, completely different, which is awesome. Let's look at your reference. Let's just compare it side by side. And it looks like this was an old render, I assume. and then this is the newer one, right? So, a couple things. I'm curious the notes that came out of this, because, well, now I'm curious, yeah, oh, this is a paint over, because I was going to say, this paint over is really close. So, the differences I'm seeing, and my first reaction when I saw your render is that it feels very CG to me. And the way that I think about this is, you know, when we're first learning new things, and I do this all the time, like I learn a new tool, or like I remember the first time I learned ambient occlusion, and I was like, I like doubled down on it, right? When I learned about it, I like wanted it to be seen. I made it like super dramatic until I learned that I'm like, wait, that's not how it works. It should be subtle. You should not even know it's there. It's like, but basically it's that need to like, look what I did, and you really want it to show and shine. So that's what kind of reminds me of this image, and that like this fog light, let's say the volume light, which I know it's like very tricky to achieve this volume. It feels just like way too pumped up. It's like, come and see this volume light. I did it. It looks awesome. Same thing here. Everything's like super overly exaggerated. So I think, you know, if you look at your reference here, it's not so defined. Like, I'm not seeing these straight lines. It's very like foggy, diffused, and more subtle, right? So multiple things, like color wise, I feel like this has gone too cool and saturated. And same thing here with this light here. I'd say look at this paint over here, because that's much more aligned with what I would think it should be like. So that's the first thing, is the color. The other part is, let's soften this fog light here. It should be kind of like, you shouldn't see this defined light as much as we do. And I think like here in the paint over, it should like kind of nicely fall off, where you get a little bit of light here, and then it goes into a little bit of darkness, and then we get a little vignette of this warm light here that's, you know, less exaggerated, less like, it should kind of just stay within this area and fall off. The other thing I'll say is this helicopter here in the air. I like how, you know, you kind of position things in the foreground to make the composition more interesting. A couple of things, it's so dark that it kind of distracted me. So a couple, like, this might not be super accurate, but I think it'd be really good to get, I see you already kind of putting warm hits on it, but kind of a cool, like, subtle, not like harsh line, like a really subtle, cool rim light, backlight from this, like kind of like it's coming a little bit from the window. And then also just like slightly fill this in. So you see a little bit of information here, right? It doesn't have to be like fully lit, but the most difficult thing I find in lighting is lighting for the shadows, because I feel like initially we think like, oh, it's in shadow, we're just gonna make it dark, we're just gonna make it black, but in real life it's not quite black and white, it's so black that way, and it's such a skill to light shadows in dark spaces, because you need to light it without that like big key light, but with like really subtle fill lights, like how can you get shaping in the shadow area? How can you get variation within the shadow? And this is kind of this exercise here, where it's like, okay, clearly we keep it in the shadow, but how can we get shaping there? Another thing you want to think about is like focus too. I feel like, I'm not sure what camera this is, but ideally probably this would be out of focus, right? So that will help with the composition as well. But overall, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great start where we just started here. Take a look. Again, I think this paint over is a great reference for it. And I think if this was the one before, and I apologize, I wasn't here before. I think this is there's a lot of improvement here. We're getting a lot more of like the fog and the volumetrics, and I do like you didn't have like too much of the cool versus warm light going on, and now you definitely do. I think we just need to kind of tone it back, and bring it closer to this paint over. So yeah, go for it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see your updates. Next, we have Lucifer is back. So this is the most recent, and I'm going to compare it to excuse me, the older one. And wow, awesome. I think, let's go to the reference, and in comparison, the new one versus the old one, huge difference. Great job in like getting the dark areas here, more of that shaping. I see you tone this down too, and it aligns much closer to this reference image. So really well done there. I know it's not easy to keep on updating and whatnot, but that's what makes us even better in the long run. A couple of things the first thing that stood out to me when I saw this are the eyes. The eyes, too bright, way too bright. Like you look at his eyes, they're not nearly close to being that bright. So let's tone down those eyes, and especially I think this one in the shadow should be slightly darker too than this one, but both of these eyes need to be toned down so they're not so electric. So that's the first thing. Another thing, I do like the subsurface going on the ear, but it's got to be cut down by at least 50%. So let's cut that down. Another thing I will say, great job with kind of getting more of the highlights there. I think that's working really well. Another thing I'll say is looking at the front here of his tire. Like if you look at your reference, this area is quite dark actually. So this area can afford also to get a bit darker. Not fully, like you see how I almost want to just caveat, like don't make the whole thing dark, but like have it dark right around here, but have it like feather out a little bit. I think that would help it as well. Another thing, and this is just like totally I know it's not a lighting thing, but your background blur is a little bit too blurry. I think it makes it feel like he doesn't sit in the space. He feels cut out to me, and if I'm looking at the blur levels on your reference, it's not quite as blurry. So I'm not sure what that background is, if it fits, if it doesn't, but I think we need to find something that is the blur will be less, and that he'll fit in a bit better there. Another thing I noticed that you did adjust the framing. I'm curious why the framing has changed on him. Let me know why. Because I think I actually like this original one better than this one. But if there's a reason, let me know why. I'd love to hear it. But otherwise, keep it going. You're making such great progress in such a short period of time. So, amazing. Keep going. I can't wait to see the updates. Okay, next we have Alex. So, Alex is working on this scene. Let's play it. I think this is the right one. I turned the sound off. So I don't like to be distracted by sound. Okay. So you were talking here about the flaring, the eye flares, right? Specifically. So before before we go into that, so this is where I get the core of like lighting down. You know, before we start adding all this, you know, comp stuff, effects, how's the lighting? Where is the lighting at? Because you can't cover up that, right? I mean, you could if you're going to cover up the whole screen, but, you know, let's look at the core first. So let's say I was to pause it before the effects comes in. So I'm looking at the lighting. Interesting. Like, I feel like I wasn't here for the lighting part, but I would say I'd love you to revisit the lighting part if possible, just because with all the things going on here, like the drama with the effects, I think you can add so much value by going back and making sure the lighting kind of speaks to that story as well. So, one, I feel like he's overly lit here, just like frontal. Like, yes, you're getting this like very intense rim light going on, but other than that, he's pretty flat here. You know, he's got one tone. He's got a little bit of shadow here, but I think if we make it more dramatic here and invest a little bit of time when he does go into these effects, and I see you do have like interactive lighting going on there, it'll just make it that much more dramatic and make a bigger impact. So what I'm thinking is, you know, they don't have to be huge things, but like this here needs to go dark, like a grad almost. This is a trick that we usually do. You can often do it in comp too, but it should grad down darker. So as it gets lower here, you kind of have like a darkening here in the lighting. So that is one thing. I would play with like the light position. Feels very frontal to me. I would almost want it to be a little bit more dramatic. Like, where is the lighting coming from, I guess, is the first question. You have this super intense backlight, and I will say, I think this is too strong. I would bring it down, get that more subtle feeling of the rim light. And so, like, that would be one note. Another thing is that darkening, especially grading down here. And then here, I think it's fine. I'm curious where that lighting is coming from. I'm assuming it's, like, coming from over here. Yeah. I think it should be, like, to get even more of, like, a dramatic lighting, I'd almost feel like this fill that's going on should allow for this to go a little bit more in shadow. And another thing I'm noticing, look how white his teeth are. They are so white. And that's another thing, like, wherever the key fill is here, like, let's say it's hitting mostly here on this side, let this side go a little bit darker, especially towards the ends, right? And same with the eye whites. This eye. If this eye is more in shadow, let it go into shadow. Let the eye whites go a little darker. So that's the first thing, the lighting itself. And now, let's look into the effects. So, remind me what kind of look you're going for. Because, you know, if it's a stylized effect, okay. But if it's meant to be, like, a realistic, like this right here, I would honestly either revamp it completely or take it out. It feels very stuck on to me. And if I was looking at this in a lighting reel, I would say something like, oh, this person is so new, they just, like, found an effect feature and they pumped it up to, you know, distract me, and I don't think it's a good call. So, but, like, this right here, these effects that are going on, that feels interactive. That feels like it has depth. It's, like, in the space, but these right here feels super fake and pasted on. Not really a fan, to tell you the truth. And it's kind of like, depending on what you're using this for, if you're using this for a lighting reel, honestly, I would take it out. If you're using it for like an effects reel, I'm not sure I'd keep it in either, because then they might question the effects stuff. And same with compositing. So I think basically I'm saying, let's work, if you want to keep these in, let's work on them. I think one, similar to like this thing where it's just super strong and exaggerated, this just feels super strong. Flat, exaggerated, there's no depth here. Yeah, so that's something I'll say. As for those light flares, one thing I'm noticing is super straight. They're like going into, kind of blending into one another. Where if I look at your reference, you see how it's like, one, it's more soft, it's more diffused, right? In both cases. It's not this distinct, oh, I've lost it. It's not this straight line as much in your references. Do you see? It's like, it's got a softness to it. It's got a diffused glow to it. So that's the big thing. The other thing is the angle. See, this is angled. Like that. Where yours is more angled straight. Like it'd be like that. Oops. You got the feel. So that is something that I would say, you know, you can angle it more that way, but then also softer, not so defined, and more of like an overall like glow. So that's what I'd say about that. Do you need it? I think you know I'm gonna say the theme. Like, I don't know if you need it. I mean, you do have that nice glow there. I think it would be a good call if you do with those notes. Make it more diagonal and way softer, kind of glowing out. But this, I will say, looks way hot. I don't know what that value is, but that is well over 1. I think that might be going too hot, where, you know, this is hot here, but there's only like one area that feels hot, and I don't think it goes up to that value. That's another thing. Like, look at there's like a grad in the glowiness of his eyes. It gets hot. The brightest is in the center, but there's variation on that one, of the glow. But then if you look at this one, very little. Like, this whole section here is one value, and I'm barely seeing, maybe like here. So try that too. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then one thing I realized, I didn't talk about the background on this as I go back to lighting, but I am noticing this background feels super flat to me as well. Let's just push it back. You can make it darker. Put a grad on it, a lighting grad. Give it some depth. So, yeah. And it'll help kind of pop him off the frame a little bit more, because you look at it, it's like this right here, and then him is like similar values, similar color tones even. It's hard to see him pop off that back frame, but that's another thing. Okay, I think that's good for now. Let me know your thoughts if you have any questions. Amazing work, everyone, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.